107.5 FM, www.nbcsvg.com. We are the sound of the nation as we program from studios at Richmond Hill in Kingstown, 8 minutes after 8. It's time for Iron La Soufriere, morning's edition. In this morning's program, Prime Minister Dr.The Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves, Seismologist Roderick Stewart joining us via Zoom. Of course, he's a member of the team monitoring the La Soufriere volcano. Good morning, Prime Minister. Good morning, Mr. Stewart. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning, Roddy. Good morning, JP and the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at home and abroad. Another R&R this morning.
Yeah.
Not rest and recreation.
No, not for us.
Roddy and Ralph.
Yes.
So what's the situation from a seismic standpoint today, over the last 24 hours?
From the seismic standpoint, it continues to be quiet. We've just had a few of the different types of earthquakes. So it's continuing the trend we've seen since the last explosion, which was on the 22nd of last month. But yesterday again, we recorded several Lahars around the volcano. And it was over about a 6-hour period starting at 9 in the morning yesterday. But there was a really intense period between 11 and 12 when there seemed to be Lahars and strong ones on all the flanks of the volcano.
So in relation to the continued lull or quietude of the volcano, that is to say with very little earthquakes which are recorded and no tremors, what people want to find out. I mean, we spoke yesterday somewhat about this, but people are asking, what kind of time frame when you have this kind of quietude that you begin to say, well, it's time for us to end the humanitarian phase of the humanitarian relief, this particular phase of humanitarian relief with people in shelters and the like, and could begin in earnest to do the recovery and reconstruction. And they merge into one another, and there's no distinction at the margin, certainly, between a particular stage of humanitarian relief and recovery. But I don't know if I'm making myself clear. Like, people have an anxiety. It's since April 22nd, you say we had an explosive eruption. It wasn't a big one. It was a very weak one. And that since then, and today is the 5th of May, we have had 2 weeks essentially. We have just had a period of quietude. How long this period of quietude we think would last before we say that we can begin to rest easy, at least for a certain period of time? We know the volcano is always there.
Well, we have to be careful in what we refer to as the quietude, because seismically, yes, it's quiet. But we did another of our gas measurements on Monday, and that was showing over 1,000 tons of sulfur dioxide per day.
Yes.
And that's a big number. So the volcano is seriously putting out gas. And we really need to get a look into the crater to see exactly what's going on, to see if we can resolve the gas and the seismic. So until we've got more information, really not in a position to say we can have a total relaxation.
Okay, all right.
But as we discussed yesterday, that doesn't stop us allowing things in the orange zone, So
yes.
The red zone still has to be a no-go area.
Okay.
The orange zone is okay.
No, well, as you know, I would almost every day I would ask you about this, because naturally human beings, they want to get back to their homes, they want to get back to some sense of normalcy. All that is understandable. But this point you made about the extent of the gases which you measured, that you still emitting a high amount of gases, so that there's activity taking place, though not of the kind to cause us any problem with the ash or any explosion.
We cannot rule out the possibility of more explosions happening.
Yes.
We cannot say that they could happen within a 24-hour period without warning. So that's really why we can't do anything yet. I mean, we're not going to predict that explosions will happen because,
well, explain to us about the gases, the proportion of the gases you say being emitted. Is that an indicator of continuing activity, though we are not having earthquakes and tremors?
It indicates that, and this is something we've said for quite a while, that the vents, the plumbing of this volcano is relatively open at the moment. So the gas, which when the magma is at depth and it's under pressure, the gas is in solution within the magma. And then as it comes up, it comes out of solution and turns into a gas, which is then vented. If there's any constriction or anything, that degassing is usually accompanied by earthquakes. But in this case, we've got the degassing occurring, but there are none of these long period earthquakes occurring with it. So that's indicating we've got some sort of open vent situation, which we think we've had for a considerable while.
Yes.
But again, it could be trying to build a dome. We really don't know, and that's why we need to have a look at it. It's just that there are indicators that it is still active inside, and therefore we have to be cautious. Okay.
Now, what was I didn't get the measurement of the gas, which you said. If you could repeat that.
It was over 1,000 tons per day. That's a measure of the sulfur.
Over 1,000 tons
per day.
Per day, and what gas was this?
Sulfur dioxide, SO2.
SO2. Good, fine. Now, what was the kind of measurement you had earlier when you had the explosions?
We've had a number of measurements. And I think on 3 or 4 cases, they've been above 1,000 tons per day.
Yes.
And in other cases, they've been as low as maybe 300 or 300 or 400 tons per day.
Okay.
And these are all measurements saying that there is gas coming out. It really needs to get down to 100 or less than that to be more of a background sort of thing. But so the levels we've been getting are above what you'd expect if the volcano was going back to sleep.
So the level of the gases which we are seeing there now, as you say, recorded yesterday or day before, whatever is yesterday you say, or day before?
It was the day before.
The day before, 1,000 tons a day of
1,000 tons a day
of SO2. No, that is what gives us at this moment caution.
That's combined with basically a combination of all our measurements and all our observations. What gives us caution.
Okay, I just now tell us something about the Lahars. We have seen videos which came down in a wash.
Yeah, the Lahars seem to have been spectacular again. A couple of my colleagues were up near the Volleybook when it was happening, and they said at one point there were boulders that were 5 meters in diameter. That's 15 feet diameter boulders being rolled down by the Lahar, and it was undercutting banks. It was taking trees down, and it was steaming like the ones we saw last week. Was it Thursday? Some of the time the Lahar was steaming, which indicating that there was hot water in there.
Yes.
So yes, it's very spectacular and very, very damaging.
And in the case of the In the case of the Walibu River and one up Sandy Bay and the one at Rabaca, you had voluminous water.
Oh yes, yeah, lots of flooding from this and lots of damage.
Yes. All right. Tell me, how is? I understand that TC fell. Is he okay?
Yeah, I've heard that he's just bruised. Nothing is broken.
Okay. All right. I just give him our regards.
I will definitely do that.
I just want people to know that Dr. Christopher TC is one of the team. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Not at the moment. I mean, at the moment we're in a situation we continue monitoring, and we have our fingers crossed that the activity will continue to go away.
Okay. So the gas is a concern, and the matter of no earthquakes to talk about, no tremors, that's good news.
That's good news. Yeah.
So we're in a mixed bag, which still give us caution. But
yes,
we're not in a bad way as we were before. And the Lahars, we still have to watch.
We have to watch for, but I think, we just have to learn to live with them. I mean, people have now had two good, I wouldn't put no good is the wrong word to use. They've had two periods of really strong destructive Lahars, and people will be learning, what they can do and what they can't do. And we just have to learn from these so that we can get through the rainy season, when I'm sure we're going to have lots more of them.
No, I want to say how the work which you guys are doing, I always repeat it, and because we have to say thanks all the time, and we have to be very grateful, because your Richie before you and your words since Richie has gone back, and even when he was here, they keep us on a daily basis remembering how potentially dangerous that the volcano still remains, particularly in the red zone. For the country as a whole, but particularly in the red zone.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate.
Okay.
Any questions?
Just one question so far, Prime Minister, but I think you would be able to answer that one. So
okay. All right. Now, I want to be able. I want to be to remind persons what the National Emergency Management Organization is about and how is it structured. Because I had to suggest to a member of the opposition, as I had indicated a couple of days ago, to read the NEMO Act, Chapter 388 of the Laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And there are a lot of people talking about NEMO and don't know what is happening. And just to go back a little, the commencement of this act was in 2006. Up to this time, what existed was a law, the Natural Disasters Relief Act of 1947, a very limited piece of legislation. And we came in and we realized the problem, came to office. And we set up, before the law was passed, this new law, we set up a NEMO structure. But part and parcel of having it grounded juridically, grounded in statute, we passed this law. This law has, in terms of its structure, a National Emergency Management Council, the National Emergency Council. It's chaired by me. On it is the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and ministers responsible for several different portfolios: disaster management, national security, works, housing, telecoms, health and the environment, social development and mobilization, energy. And the permanent secretaries in those ministries, plus agriculture, tourism, education. Cabinet Secretary, Director General of Finance and Planning, Director of Planning, Director of the NEMO, Commissioner of Police, Chief Medical Officer, Chief Engineer, Manager of the Ports Authority, Director of API, Director of Airports. But not only governmental officials, the manager of Cable and Wireless, of Digicel, or any other telecoms company, Vinlec, Chief Executive Officer, Manager of the Water Authority, Representative of Workers, Representative of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, of the National Youth Council, the Red Cross, and representatives from certain geographic areas, in the Grenadines particularly, where those, when they're affected, representatives from volunteer organization. And we, at a time like this, we bring in other people who are very active. Like, for instance, we'll ask the World Central Kitchen to come and hear what is happening, the United Nations people, if Sidima is here, an RSS person, because the Commissioner of Police would want the RSS person, Director of NEMO would like to have the other important international or regional agencies who are helping. And then there's a National Emergency Executive Committee. Since the explosion, we have been meeting. NEMO has been, the Emergency Council meets every week. And I'll meet more frequently if required. There's a meeting this afternoon of NEMO, of the Emergency Council. But the National Emergency Executive Committee, the director of NEMO is the chairperson. Then you have a number of public officials, like those which I named earlier, are there on the executive, plus people from Water Authority, Vinlec, Red Cross, Rainbow League, or similar organization. And then there's subcommittees. And this is where the actual detailed work is done with various subcommittees. Subcommittee responsible for public information, training and education, damage and needs assessment, transport and road clearance, emergency shelters and shelter management. That one, obviously, it's a very critical one. Well, all are critical, but that one, the Ministry of Education, the permanent secretary, chief education officer, the ones who are the leading lights in that, but as other persons. Emergency supplies. Now, in the supplies which are coming in, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the permanent secretary will deal with that, but there's a structure in the Secretariat of NEMO which manages warehouses and so on and so forth. Health services, emergency telecommunications, search and rescue, land and sea, rehabilitation and reconstruction, voluntary services. And these subcommittees perform functions that are assigned to them. So each of these subcommittees, they're headed by senior officials of the state administration. You know, these are public officials. And then you have district management committees. You'll have as many as 40 out of them. Some function better than others, depending on the nature of the leadership on the ground. And these depend a lot on not just state officials, but volunteers. And then, of course, you have the National Emergency Operating Center, the NEOC. That is That is what people call NEMO. But NEMO is more than that. That's why I say all of us are NEMO, because I represent people. And I'm the chair of the Emergency Council as Prime Minister. And we have loads of volunteers. For instance, in the shelters, we have nearly 1,000 volunteers. I think 980 odd, the last number. It probably might be more by now. A few days ago, I think that was the number I was informed. And over the years, a number of things that we have done, we have strengthened the resilience of the country, and which aided in the evacuation and in the management of this particular many-sided challenge. Give a few examples. Let's start at Oya. Well, we start at Fancy. From Fancy right down to Kingston. We widened the road, rebuilt the roads. Make it easier to have to come out. We built a wharf at Oya, which helped to take out people by boat during the evacuation, but very importantly, the Coast Guard went and took people after the evacuation, 127 of them. Some of them probably would have suffered in one way or the other. I went through that story more than one occasion. The Coast Guard itself, we spent $18 million on an offshore patrol vessel 2 years ago. Last year, $5 million on a medevac vessel. In addition to the existing Coast Guard for, boats, these have been very important in the evacuation process, particularly from the western side of the island, but also, as I noted earlier, from the eastern side. Also important in patrolling for purposes of security. I mean, I will. There are things that you don't talk about, and sometimes it's only when you get a lot of ignorance being spoken that you have to go back to a few basic things. I will try and get it. I believe I have here in relation to this came to me yesterday. Fuel estimate for the Coast Guard for the next 3 months for the Captain Humolzak, that's the offshore patrol vessel, and 2 safe boats and 2 ribs. The Captain Humolzak burns on an average 28 gallons of diesel per hour. That means over a 24-hour period of patrol, it would burn 672 gallons. The Baliso, that is the medevac vessel, their tank capacity is just 400 gallons, and they burn at the rate of 30 gallons per hour for a 4-hour mission. The 2 operational safe boats, which we use there, and the 2 RHIB, the rigid hull inflatable boats, they consume 800 gallons per week. All of those. For low sulfur diesel, for the next 3 months, for those particular vessels which I just named out, is 5,700 gallons, costing $44,627. The gasoline, 10,000 gallons, costing $93,000. For gasoline and alone and diesel for those particular boats I just named is nearly $140,000. So you spend the money on the infrastructure, but of course, the expenditure, the recurrent expenditure goes up. All that is part of resilience, to get those. Then you come down, the Argyle International Airport is now open back, and it's bringing in commodities by air, important things that you need. You go, you pass, going road to Leeward, you pass a place called NEMO headquarters, that didn't exist. You reach down Chateau. The piece of jetty which was there could not have accommodated all those big boats, when you move out thousands of people from down there. Is the new jetty which we built, the modern jetty. Let's take a few other things. Let's take the number of volunteers from the cadet corps. When I arrived, you had 100 cadets. Now you have 1,400. They're the one involved in packing and distribution of many, many items. Doing other work, very important work in NEMO. You didn't have counselors in schools, All the schools have counselors. Beef that up in the social development ministry, in the Ministry of Health. And they are now, in conjunction with regional agencies, the backbone of what is providing counseling services to people who are very anxious. I'm giving you, and this is just, there are other things, If we didn't set up the much criticized contingency fund, we wouldn't have about $40 million there to spend, And if we didn't take the decision to leave $20 million US at the World Bank, $54 million, we wouldn't have any money to spend now, to do the things what we are doing. Because remember, the bulk of the relief money that the USA, that has come out, and the money from the USA, from Canada, from the European Union, from Norway, from the UK, they've gone to regional organizations and global NGOs, like, for instance, Red Cross, and we encourage that too. And once they do their work here, and they're doing work here. So this is a many-sided thing. That's why the Red Cross, for instance, is inside of NEMO. The very structure of NEMO on the Emergency Council and on the Executive Committee. They have their own independence, but also part of NEMO. Now, Michelle Forbes is the director of NEMO. She's the chief executive of NEMO. But she is not the only person who is NEMO. She's critical in providing leadership there. And I have to say this because, and the operation which we are carrying out now, we have about 7,000 persons whom we're feeding in the shelters, And you have another 7,000 or more inside of private homes. And the kind of operation which is being carried out. And I heard people lambasting NEMO about some. We have done thousands. We have sent out thousands of mattresses in shelters, and I heard that because they have some single mattresses which came in on Friday night. Mattresses came in on Friday night. On on a vessel from Trinidad. Didn't get cleared until Saturday. Reached down at NEMO headquarters, NEMO's warehouse sometime in the Saturday evening. I haven't read the release, but I know the story. The release, what they have sent. And Michelle could talk.
We have Prime Minister, we have Michelle.
And she's being slaughtered. You know, people must be reasonable. They start to slaughter her on Monday. Michelle, you there?
Yes, PM. Good morning.
Could you tell us the kind of operation before you come to the mattress talk? Could you give an indication of the size of operation, which as I know is by far the most massive emergency operation this country has ever undertaken in terms of its scope and its reach. You want to tell us what's happening?
Okay. Yes, Prime Minister. So there are several things that is happening. We will have activated the what we call the National Emergency Operations Center on the night of the 8th of April, and we have been operating since then on a 24-hour basis. We are trying to reduce the hours now so that persons can get a break. So at this operations, we have different committees that you would have mentioned that could carry out the particular functions throughout the operation. So shelters, supplies, security, and the general operation desk. And these are the agencies that actually guide and make decisions in terms of how we are going to operate on any given day or any situation that may arise. We have several additional operations ongoing. We have the warehousing. We have the shelter management. We have 86 shelters that are activated as we speak. You have persons, different establishments in terms of warehouse distribution. We have 2 distribution points, a distribution point that goes to the emergency shelter, another distribution point run by the Ministry of National Mobilization that takes care of the families who are actually in homes, and they will provide us with that information and additional needs besides the food that they are working at. We have also established a call center, which is the first time we are doing this because of the sheer volume of calls that came into NEMO. We have established a call center just across from NEMO, where we have persons on the set program, volunteers, and members of the civil service, because this operation is really being supported.
You have I went over there, you have about a week ago, I went there on a Friday afternoon. You have about 20-something persons over there.
Yes, we have persons answering the phones, persons entering the data into the database, and communicating, and that was not there before. So we have had to actually include that, and that has really been serviced by the Office of the Chief Personnel Officer, who has really been extremely helpful in ensuring that we have the staff throughout the civil service to actually manage all the efforts that are ongoing on the NEMO. We also have, so we have also at the port, we have a team at the port that is actually checking all the goods that are coming in and actually distributing them to the various warehouses. And we also have the regional institutions and organizations within the country. From the CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, they are actually establishing the big mobile warehousing at Annesville at the Joshua Airport. And if you pass there, you see the tent. So we are up now and ready to operate fully. We have 8 mobile units there, and this infrastructure was really supported by the World Food Program, who actually came in just after the emergency.
That's a UN agency.
Yes, that's a UN agency, World Food Program. The office based in Barbados, and they came down to the Eastern Caribbean in particular after Hurricane Maria in Dominica, and they have been working with Filipino a lot. So they're actually setting up the logistics hub for the warehousing, that we can actually ensure that we account for every item that is donated to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and ensure that accountability and tracing. And we're working with the local counterparts, the SG Cadet Force. We have almost 100 cadets or more working throughout the entire system at the various points. We have civil servants working throughout the entire system also, supported by the Chief Personnel Officer and the Cabinet Secretary. And that support has really been tremendous in ensuring that we have persons throughout the system. We have our NEMO staff, which is only 17. We have volunteers here answering the phones. We have persons in the Emergency Operations Center. So it's a big operation. PM on any given day, we may have at least 2,000 persons within the system. In the shelters, over 971 volunteers, and then we have on a given day up to 400 volunteers or civil servants throughout the entire system supporting this national effort.
Now, we have to provide lunches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 7,000 persons in the shelters. How is that? How is that done? Do we, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, in some cases we do the cooking at the shelters. In some cases, we, the government, you NEMO, you hire people who caterers. Seventh-day Adventists may do some, World Central Kitchen, and maybe one or two other persons from time to time may say, well, we'll do a lunch at a particular shelter or a dinner or something. Is that the kind of effort?
That is the kind of effort. In the initial stage, we would have been doing a lot more catering, but now as the shelters have settled and they have, they're doing a lot of their cooking, but we also have partners like the Adventist Disaster Relief Agency, the World Central Kitchen, other Good Samaritans who actually have pledged their support to feeding the shelters, maybe sometimes for a week or 2 weeks already, and we coordinate that with the shelters. So this is ongoing. So there are some days that the shelters will do their own cooking, and then there are some days that they will not. So it's 3 meals a day at all emergency shelters.
Now, I understand that at the shelters, that the medical staff, the nursing staff and so forth, go every day to each shelter.
They visit the shelters daily. Whether it's the public health or the nursing or doctor, there's a visit every day.
Good. Now, we know I have been wrong, and I know that from time to time, and I will come. Well, let me deal with something else first before I come back to the shelters. Let me deal with the food. Up to day before yesterday, I was informed that NEMO social development, because social development is part of the structure of NEMO.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, and they have distributed NEMO from the warehouse, social development also from the warehouse. They distribute over 6,000 food packages, boxes to people who are evacuees inside of the people's homes, because I notice you have about registered in terms of families, about 1,700 and something families, maybe 2,000. I don't know.
Over 2,000 persons still eating at the shelters, even though they're not living there.
Okay, but you have about an estimated 7,000 or so persons living in private homes.
Yes.
And you have sent out up to day before yesterday, but those persons are they're spread all about the place in about 1,700 and something homes.
Homes, yes, there's in different places.
Okay, and you have had a distribution which have sent out up to day before yesterday, and if you can confirm the number, I was told 6,000 packages out there.
Over 6,000, yeah, over 6,000.
Over 6,000, and you have also sent into orange zones on both sides, northeast and northwest, to people's homes.
Yes.
And you did water in that way too.
Yes, we did water, and
water trucks and bottled water.
And bottled water.
Good. Now, I have visited many shelters, and in the earlier period, we saw a number of cots. We saw a lot of mattresses, and we saw cots. What is the situation now? Do we have the cots them still inside of the shelters?
We have the cots as reserved still in the shelters in case, because we're still finding a few persons coming from private homes into the emergency shelters, so we keep some just in case. We initially start, anytime an operation starts, we begin with the cots. We begin with the cots and they take up less space to it in the emergency shelters. But this is not just a storm or hurricane. People are going to be lying on these for some time, so the cots become uncomfortable. So we have moved now from the cots and changed out the cots now to the mattresses.
But if somebody comes out from a private home or decide they're going to come into to one of the shelters, you would not have a mattress there waiting on them. You'll have a cot waiting on them.
We will have cots, yes.
And then they will get mattresses.
And then later on, they will get the mattresses.
Good,
yes.
fine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, in the shelters, you will have some people with cots at the moment, but those would be persons who either have come very late, or you may have a one or two cases still with people sleeping on cots for longer than perhaps a short period of time.
Or maybe children, because they're smaller and lighter.
Children, okay,
yes.
fine,
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, about how many mattresses, do you distribute mattresses also to the private homes?
Yes, we have been doing that over the last week. We have been distributing mattresses every day except yesterday because of the rain. Because that's our focus now, those persons in the private homes, because the shelters have been changed out from the cots to the mattresses. So the focus has been now on the private homes. So once the Ministry of Mobilization identify those persons who need the mattresses, then we work with them to ensure that these mattresses, and we're actually delivering these mattresses to where these people are living, because most of them do not have transportation to come and pick up a mattress.
Now, when you're distributing mattresses to the homes, do you wait until you have, say, a volume of 10 or 20 to distribute, or you distribute one or two at a time, three? How do you do it?
We do it in volumes, and depends on the area, but it's constantly during the day. So we will divide it into the areas, and a transport will go in different directions, and have personnel. So we don't wait, because they're mattresses that they're in demand, and we continue to deliver as we receive, as we clear out, and as we get them.
Now,
So,
as you would know, that my office had requested. I know the Governor General. I had an audience with the Governor General, and we discussed naturally the disaster, and we thought that it was a good idea for the Governor General to visit shelters, to visit the Camden Park warehouse, to go to Anna's Vale, so that the country will see that the head of state is also involved in this. Well, she also is involved in an organization where they do things too, and she herself personally. I want to say that, and I want to thank Her Excellency for her involvement. And that I had asked Angie, Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Prime Minister, to organize the press and everybody and get to go with Her Excellency so that everybody can see what is happening. Huh? That is what was done. The Governor General goes down to Camden Park. These mattresses, which have become a focal point of some discussion, much of it uninformed and unreasonable. When did these mattresses arrive?
they actually arrived on Friday. The team worked up to after 2:30 on Saturday morning, taking them off the boat, and then they were moved to the warehouse.
2:30
Saturday morning.
2:30 Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So they were taken off the boat.
I just want you the NEMO personnel were there, including the crew from the vessel and the port and everybody. 2:30 on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yes.
When all of us are sleeping, including the talk show hosts, who have a lot to say. Huh? 2:30 in the morning, Saturday morning.
2:30 in the Saturday morning, they finished, and then they left at the gate shed, and then we moved them later on in the afternoon down to Camden Park and some to NEMO, so that we can prepare for distribution.
No, when you get stuff like this, walk me through the process. There has to be an inventory. What goes into the what goes into the warehouse?
Yeah, there's an inventory what goes into the warehouse, and we also have our the needs that we know that persons are asking for. So once we know that they're received, we actually start acting on those right away. So there's an inventory once it gets into the warehouse. There's an inventory. Anything that leaves the warehouse must be signed for with the truck number, and anything that we deliver to a family also has to be signed for.
No. Do you on Sundays? Do you do deliveries on Sundays?
We have been working since 8 p.m. We have not had a day, taken a day off, so we deliver
Okay.
Sundays, any day.
And on Sundays,
Saturday.
on Sundays, you delivered mattresses, but not from this source. Not from this source of mattresses.
We delivered some, but the majority of requests has been for the double mattresses.
Ah.
The double mattresses.
No, it's very interesting when cross-examination takes place. That things and these are double or single.
Those are single. Those that mostly those that were shown were the single ones that came in on the Trinidad boat.
And so they arrived down there on this Saturday in the afternoon, and then you distribute mattresses on Sunday, but not
On
these.
Sunday. Mm-hmm.
And on Monday, did no distribution because of the rain.
Rain, yes, we didn't do any. A few persons came who had transportation, because we told them because of the rain we wouldn't be able to come.
Are you doing distribution of mattresses today?
Today we hope to do about 200.
You hope to do about 200.
Mm-hmm, yes.
Mainly double mattresses?
Mainly double, and all in private homes.
And all in private homes?
All in private homes, yeah.
What would you say to somebody who said they contact NEMO and for a mattress and they haven't gotten the mattress yet? They might have contacted them a week ago, let us say. What do they do?
Well, once you contact us, we get the information. What has been happening to when we try to call back some of these persons, we are not getting any answers. So we have to do our verification, ensure that they actually persons who have been displaced, and they're persons who need the help, but they may not have been displaced. So we make a determination if we can assist those persons one time, even though the priority of those displaced.
Well, I can verify that because I have been asked for double mattresses, and I have sent the names to you through my office, or send them down at the warehouse or to social development for them with the name and number. Sometimes just the first name of the person, may just text. And I send it. And then the person would call me back 2 days later. When I check, they said, the information is that you all had called. And then when I myself try and get back that person and say, well, they had called to try and get the information as to where you are, when they will come and give the thing. Sometimes I can't get the person either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the majority of persons, we actually get on to them, and we get the directions. And when we're on the road, we also contact them and let them know where we are, so we can get directions to their homes. So that has been ongoing. And we continue to deliver mattresses as we have the need coming in through the Ministry of Social Development.
Let me ask you this personally. How do you feel in a situation like this? Your mattresses are delivered they come in on a Friday night. Your staff, among others, work until 2:30 in the morning to help to clear this. They come down in the afternoon by you because you want to get them off early. And then you hear on the very Monday when it's raining, and these mattresses, these particular ones are not in demand. The single mattresses. That you hear that NEMO get introduced for keeping supplies and people want mattress and don't get it. How do you feel as a human being, as a professional? Tell me how you feel.
I think yesterday was probably one of the worst days, to be honest, because the team has really been working hard.
Was these from what standpoint?
In terms of knowing that everybody is making this effort, and it just took a few pictures really to tell an incorrect story.
To tell an incorrect story.
Mm-hmm.
Bing, you hearing me? Before I came here this morning, I heard you on the radio, Bing. I didn't put you on. Somebody put you on. I heard it. There might be others who are saying the same thing too.
Yes, because we have the warehouse, and we have to keep basic stocks within the warehouse, and of course the mattresses were in high demand, so they were constantly being dispatched to various places, including the shelters and the private homes. So we tend to have to replenish our warehouse ever so often. It's actually we have actually outgrown our warehouse space now, PM. We have actually outgrown our warehouse space with this particular emergency.
Yes.
And it was really, I think, my staff in particular really felt bad yesterday, knowing that they have been working around the clock sometimes, all hours, to get the mattresses to the person, and to be, they were really disappointed and dejected yesterday, having seen these comments.
Well, I didn't know all about that. I was busy in a number of meetings, and when I came out, they told me you had called me. And immediately I got back in touch with you, and you reported this to me, and I told you, don't worry about it. Serving the people at times can appear very difficult, and sometimes there's some people who are just cruel, and some people who are not interested in us maintaining our social solidarity. They're just interested in causing mayhem or confusion and so forth. And just, you know what you're doing, and you know what your team is doing, and I advise you, as a Michelle, just put a statement out of the facts. And let it go. I must tell you, last night I was up and I was thinking about you and the team, all the team. And I felt for you. I felt for you. Because I know the efforts which you are making, the structure which we have, what we have built up. I've heard some people say that NEMO never planned for volcano. When you have a document dealing with volcano and go through several simulation exercises, including simulation exercises in the red zone and in the orange zone.
Orange zones, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they're not listening to these things. But continue to do what you all are doing and do your best. I know you're doing your best. And I want to read. Now that you have spoken, I want to read your release. This is yesterday. The National Emergency Management Organization is aware of statements circulating on social media in which accusations of the hoarding of bed mattresses have been leveled at the organization. This follows the visit of the Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Suzanne Duggan, to the NEMO warehouse at Camden Park on Monday, the 3rd of May, 2021. During her visit, photographs of mattresses being stored at the warehouse were taken and disseminated by local media who had accompanied Her Excellency on her tour of the facility. This display has resulted in widespread social media allegations that NEMO is engaging in the hoarding of bed mattresses and supplies meant for the evacuees throughout St. Vincent and Grenadines. NEMO categorically denied these allegations and present the facts as follows. Distribution of mattresses is ongoing. To date, some 1,500 mattresses have been delivered to the 86 shelters that have been activated. Initially, cots were supplied, but most of these have now been replaced. 550 mattresses were delivered to families over the last few days. A container of mattresses brought through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning was received on Friday the 30th, offloaded on Saturday 1st of May, and delivered mainly to persons in private shelters. That 40-foot container was with double mattresses.
Double, yes.
The mattresses seen in the photographs being circulated with the Governor General in the background were received late on Saturday, May the 1st, and are single mattresses which are being distributed upon request. Today's delivery of mattresses was hampered by the inclement weather, but efforts to distribute mattresses to those in need continues in earnest. NEMO wishes to assure the public that it has no interest in withholding supplies necessary for the comfort of those who have been displaced due to the eruption of Soufriere volcano. NEMO and its stakeholders will continue to coordinate the response to this national emergency in accordance with humanitarian principles. It's a very good statement and laid out the facts. Now, what is your assessment overall as how things are going? I mean, I know we have there are lots of food packages, more to be sent out to the homes, private homes, and also people in the orange zones. How is that going?
That is going on smoothly. I think we have settled down a bit now. Not just that, even when we deliver the mattresses, we are giving people water also. The bottles of water that come in, they are also giving persons water, once they request it, or once we deliver to some families, there's always water involved in the delivery. So it's ongoing. I think it's smoothing out now. We still have a few kinks here and there every now and then, but that's expected.
Now the database. I understand that you have a fairly good information base. Is the work being coordinated, for instance, what Red Cross is delivering, what you're delivering, what say World Central Kitchen will deliver, and so on and so forth? All those things, are they coordinated?
Yes, they're being coordinated, and the information goes to the chair of that particular subcommittee, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they actually pass on that information to us so we can have that being entered into our database.
All right. You need more volunteers?
We will need more volunteers for the logistics hub at Annisville.
You need more volunteers. Well, I understand that they're also going to hire a few more set workers, but they also need some volunteers too.
Yes, especially for Annisville, and we need to give those volunteers who have been going for 3 weeks
some rest.
Some rest, yes, especially at the emergency shelters.
So you need at the emergency shelters. Presumably, you need some to down at the warehouse.
Down at the warehouses also. So we.
Well, I wonder if some of the guys who run in them out could go and volunteer. I understand that the Dr. Christopher who fell, that when he's not doing his work, and I think yesterday that he was doing some volunteering.
He actually came yesterday and said he was at our service yesterday, and actually started going out with the guys to help and deliver mattresses, and that's how he injured himself. Actually, last night. So he came and said he's at our service yesterday. He's coming to fit in, and he went out with the team, and that's how he got injured.
I want to thank TC. I want to thank Dr. Christopher. There are a lot of people in the pavilion and sniping about the field of play. Please, come on the field of play now and help out. It's a national effort. And I want to thank you, Michelle. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say.
No, PM, just to thank everyone who has really been supporting this effort, especially the government ministries. I think it's the first time we are seeing this outpouring of civil servants really supporting the national effort, and thanks to the CPO Cabinet Secretary and everyone who has really been supporting our operations, the volunteers, and everyone as we continue to serve those who have been displaced.
There's somebody, I would say, a very intelligent person who, listening to this, the person is overseas in the United States. Good morning, PM. I'm listening to you on radio. It is not just Bing who's stupidly shooting off his mouth about this mattress. Supposed to have better understanding of these processes. What a shame. And she was talking about somebody else. I wouldn't call the name. She made an ignorant statement. Honestly, I received a message attributed to so-and-so. I was incensed. Particularly, I expected better from that person. That you as Prime Minister should have to spend so much time dignifying such stupidity with a response. But anyway, you're doing a good job. And we pray for your continued good health and divine guidance. We love you. And then she goes on, excellent job. Now, the people must just, when they must just pause and ask some simple elementary questions. Now, I want this, Michelle. You're there with me?
Yes, I'm here.
And after this, you can go. I wouldn't say which church because I wouldn't want them to go and I wouldn't want the crazies to go and attack this church. Dear Honorable Dr. Gonsalves, I sincerely hope this letter finds you and your family well. I want to express my deepest appreciation for the fine work done on behalf of the island during these times of distress. We are in the midst of a year-long pandemic that has affected people deeply. And now we are also coping with the disastrous effects of volcanic eruptions and the enormous efforts of evacuation and accommodation. I am part of this important religious community named so and so and so, and many of our members have been displaced. The current policies you have established have aided the evacuation efforts of our friends and family. The agencies under your administration, this is where it's important, have been diligent, cooperative, and supportive. And I want to thank you for this. Please accept our genuine gratitude and please free to contact us if you have any questions or comments. So, Michelle, when some of the crazies try to bring you down, remember that they're good, balanced, God-fearing people who are saying that the agencies under your administration, that's my administration, and the principal agency here is NEMO, have been diligent, cooperative, and supportive. And I want to thank you for this. I also thank you, Michelle, and all the volunteers, and NEMO and everybody involved. I know it wouldn't be perfect, but let us not make perfection the enemy of the good. And you all are doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, PM. Thanks.
Now, as this person said, I had to spend all this time today. But you know why I do it? Not so much to dignify the rubbish, but I want to maintain social solidarity. I want to maintain this social solidarity in our country, and I want people to know when they see these things, just don't jump and come to any kind of conclusions. Wait, hear an assessment. Find out what is happening. If an error has been made, if something unreasonable has been done, we say, well, no, listen, something should have been done better there. But you just don't go out and string people down when there is no reasonable basis for this, however frustrated some people may be. I even understand that I was personally abused. I haven't seen it, I haven't heard it, but I understand people say that I never know what it is to sleep on the ground. I never know what it is to sleep on a cot. Well, you know something? Not only I sleep on the ground. I sleep on bedding because there was not enough space in the house and there was not enough mattress. I sleep on bedding on the floor when I was a boy. And when I went my first part in grammar school, I sleep on a bunk in the storeroom of the back room of my mother's shop. And in lower 5 and upper 5, in those days they had 2 Form 5s. When my mother sent me to stay at a family in Lower Middle Street, the people, they didn't have any extra bed. They didn't even have extra room. It's a cot I slept on for 2 years at 16 and 17 years old. I had to put it in the living room on nights. People, they didn't have TV in those days, so there was no TV in the living room to keep people up. They listened to the radio in the bedroom. And on morning, I get up early and fold up the cot and put it in a corner. So don't. But whether or not I ever sleep on the ground with bedding or if I sleep on a cot, I mean, what is the relevance of that other than you want to show abuse? But unfortunately, the abuse is misguided because I actually have slept on the ground with bedding and I slept on a cot. I wonder if some of those who are throwing those words at me did that. But I have a track record of defending the poor and the working people and the policies of this government and my own personal involvement and my own personal resources since this has started. I don't have to talk about it. God knows, and those who have benefited know. I just say that. It's not because I stick on the issues of high policy every single day. But you're not going to get me dragged down into your morass. But I will from time to time respond as the circumstances admit and require and demand. Evacuation requests to go overseas. I got a list yesterday. There are persons from the red zone and orange zone for Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, BVI, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, is 403. Well, we are not repatriating persons. We don't have a program with Barbados. But we could facilitate if you want any help, if you're going over there to stay with your family and you want us to give you a letter saying that you're making your own arrangement and you want to get a letter from us to say you are in fact from the red zone or the orange zone evacuated, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will give you such a letter so that you can get your child enrolled in school for the period of time and so on and so forth, you know. The numbers, Anguilla 22, Antigua and Barbuda 113. As I say, Barbados is 27, but we'd facilitate that, but not getting engaged with the repatriation. They were doing the OECS countries. BVI or the associates, BVI 65, Dominica 40, Grenada 26, St. Kitts Nevis 72, St. Lucia 39. I see somebody want to go to Jamaica, somebody want to go to Trinidad, and there are some non-nationals of St. Vincent and Grenadines who want to be repatriated, and that's fine. And SABA had said they would accommodate some persons, and 6 want to go there, mainly family members. So it's a trickle, really. It's not a flood. In fact, there are persons from the green zone, there are more persons from the green zone and the yellow zone who want to go. There are 540 of those went under 400 from the red zone and the orange zone. They're very interesting, eh? But those from the green or yellow zone, you can go to the countries. And nobody's stopping you. And the OECS, you don't need a work permit there. You can travel. You can go. Nobody stop. You can even go with the ID card. Nobody is stopping you. So it confirms that it's a trickle, not a flood, and that most persons want to remain. The numbers building up bit by bit, but not significantly. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs would indicate to me when they're going to begin to do all of these things. The number of requests over nearly 1,100, but those from the red zone and orange zone is just under 400. They have people who are non-nationals requesting repatriation. Then there's some people from the green or yellow zone, and there are a few persons who registered up, but they're no longer interested in going. Like in the earlier stage, they might have said yes, but they're not worried that they want to go anymore. That's the story on that. I got a very nice letter from Bill Clinton about his work and in St. Vincent. I read it. Former President of the United States. Dear Ralph, I hope this letter finds you healthy and safe. I'm glad that you were able to speak with some of the Clinton Global Initiative staff following the Soufriere eruptions earlier this month. And hope you know that, as ever, the Clinton Foundation remains committed to assisting with your recovery and rebuilding efforts in whatever ways we can. As you know, the CGI, the Clinton Global Initiative Action Network, or Post-Disaster Recovery, is now in its fourth year of working to assist recovery and preparedness efforts throughout the Caribbean. I'm writing today to invite you to join me for a private roundtable discussion with other leaders from government, humanitarian organizations, the private sector, as part of the Action Network 6 convening. The virtual conversation will take place on Thursday, May the 20th, from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then goes on to talk about the things in which we can work together on. And then he says, I hope that you can join us in May for what I know will be a productive conversation. Until then, my thoughts remain with you and the people of St. Vincent and Grenadines. Sincerely yours, Bill. We're grateful for all the work by the international NGOs, what they're doing. And I want to indicate that yesterday I got the detailed damage sectoral analysis report on the explosive eruptions in Vincent and Grenadines, compiled through the instrumentality of SEDEMA. Last night I've been reading and studying it very carefully, and I will discuss it further today with our technical people, our advisors, and there's some interesting analysis and some amazing numbers. It's a long road. It's a long road, but we will be there. I just want to mention one thing before I take a couple calls. People have asked me about, and it's not something which I'm going to comment about, simply because there's an investigation which is ongoing, as the Commissioner of Police has stated publicly. This thing which has been making the rounds about Senator Morgan and the Assistant DPP, Mr. Nelson. How does anyone expect the Prime Minister to make a public comment about allegations made by someone in relation to someone else, which is a subject of a police investigation? I just want to ask that simple question. And I want to ask a second question. Why do you take the allegations of one person as being the truth? Huh? And people are running with it and talking with it about as though it's the unvarnished truth and the unvarnished facts. I hope for their sake they don't run into problems with the laws of defamation. Why do people think that everything has to be hung out to dry in the public place when an investigation is going on? You know, the important thing in this that I notice, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution and the Office of the Commissioner of Police, I'm sure will work properly and independently in the highest traditions in this matter. I have spoken to Senator Morgan. When the incident occurred, you would expect that she'd call and she'll tell me. And what I have read in the newspapers and heard persons talk about, without going into any details, that from what I was told, people just keep their mouth shut a bit. You know, just keep your mouth shut a bit. And don't believe and accept as fact some of the more outlandish things that you have heard in relation to Senator Morgan. I just want to say this. You know, politics is a hell of a thing. Partisan politics is a hell of a thing. If the shoe were on the other foot, and it was an NDP woman, an NDP parliamentarian or high party member who had gotten involved in this, you know how the story is going to spin? So what do you expect? There are two women. You know, in this country, there's a lot of violence against women. You know, it's a good thing to see that somebody is standing up to defend women. But no, it becomes all kind of pejorative words being used to describe somebody. Just wait. You notice how careful I am? I'm not pronouncing on something which is under investigation, and I would be irresponsible to do so in a circumstance like this. But I just ask persons, just be calm and just be patient. In any case, we have a lot of matters dealing with COVID, Soufriere, the looming hurricane season, and how to pay the bills. How to pay the bills. I don't know if there are any questions, JP.
There is a question via WhatsApp. This is someone working with the shelters.
Yeah.
Please let the Prime Minister know that the response is going well so far, and there will always be hiccups when dealing with evacuations of this magnitude. One cannot meet all the expectations of every single individual, especially when these expectations are being fueled by persons who know better. And there's a nurse just messaged me to offer volunteer at NEMO on her off days.
Thank you.
How can
All you have to do, sister, I know you're working hard as a nurse. And I know when you have your rest. But you're an angel. Just contact NEMO. Just contact NEMO. Please. Just go down by the communication center across the road from NEMO and say, I want to volunteer. And they'll send you to the appropriate person.
Another question there, Prime Minister. Morning, is there any duty on power wash coming in the country? Because I have a family overseas who wants to help with one.
You know, last week we approved also duty-free concessions for power wash. We had done it for the power hoses. We had done it for the pumps, water pumps. We also do it for the power washes. I think the period is 4 months.
We encourage you to give us a call, 457-2705, Magic Jack 516-350-9891. You're live on NBC. I am Soufriere. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, TM.
Good morning.
I am not an evacuee. I am not in any shelter. I don't have a job, but I lost every single crop I had at Orange Hill. So I was wondering if I am entitled to any assistance from NEMO.
No, what you're going to get, my brother, is this. I don't know if you had heard me earlier, a couple of days ago. One of the reasons I'm having a special cabinet meeting this morning, I had said, and specifically in the estimates which are coming, the supplementary estimates which go into the Parliament on Tuesday, and the supplementary appropriation bill, we are going to provide up to the end of the year income support for farmers in the red and orange area. And we're going to provide also income support for the non-farmers. So that's the first thing. You will get income support, but also what you will get production support. By that I mean with seeds and plant material, supports for plowing and tilling the field and clearing, farmers' tools, if you livestock support. So we'll give you help to get you back on your feet. But while we're even getting you back on your feet, we will give you some income support. You understand me, my brother? That's not NEMO. That will be done through other agencies of government, because this is part of this would be humanitarian, and part of it is the cleanup, and part of it is the initial stages of recovery.
Another question via WhatsApp, Prime Minister. Are there plans to clean up the heavy ash before evacuees return back to their homes?
Yes. In fact, over a period of time, there's a suggestive budget for the initial cleanup, and then there is further cleanup. and we want to clean up. I've said repeatedly here, and I'm glad the brother or sister who asked that listening now. We have urged persons, if you're going to clean your roof, it's all right, but don't be careful about cleaning up, say, the wall of the house itself or even around by the yard, because when we're cleaning up the road, the sun going to blow again. You see what I mean? And nasty up the place. Oh, well, not nasty. Well, you know what I mean when I say nasty up. I use it colloquially. So yes, we have actually started doing some cleaning, and we'll do far more, but it's a very expensive thing. And we have some preliminary estimates. It's going to be, and on Tuesday you'll hear in our supplementary estimate, supplementary appropriation bill, some of the monies which we want to approve for this particular period to do some of those things.
We'll take another call, 4572705. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Iron Soufriere Morning Edition.
Good morning. Good morning, Prime Minister. Good morning, Johnny P.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, Prime Minister, I'm hoping that God continue to shower his blessings on you and St. Vincent, because I think we are doing a good job. Now, there's a question that was posed to me that I really could not respond to, and I'm taking this opportunity to ask you this morning if you can respond in a kind of way that would help out with this. The mattresses that are delivered to persons who have evacuated the red zone and the orange zones and stuff and so. After this initial relief program, and we are like sending people back to their homes and all of that and stuff.
They can keep their mattress.
This is the problem. Because
I see where you're going.
Yeah.
Look, I have already indicated to NEMO, any mattress that anybody has in the shelter and in their home,
because the property of the person who would have used it,
they can take it. They can
yes.
take it. We will for other impending disasters. We will get more.
Because the concern
and we have until we have all what we have a lot of cots in stock, which we could always use as a temporary measure, even as we get more and more. If there's another disaster, like for instance a hurricane on top of this,
and things like that and stuff, they have to start all over again. Because the concern raised by the person who spoke with me was that the government here should have focused more on air mattresses that could have been returned to NEMO and reused in the event.
No.
This is just a suggestion.
Yeah, I know, but
overseas and they have.
Yeah, I know. But there are problems also with the mattresses, as we know, different kinds of problems. The mattresses, and while people want the double mattresses, is because more than one person can sleep on them.
Yes.
That's how. That's how it happens.
Well, that answers the question, because they were asking as to whether the mattresses.
No. I have already.
Yes,
I have already indicated to NEMO that we will not be involved in the collection of
mattresses
any
after
mattresses
the relief program.
After.
Yes.
The thousands of mattresses which are given out
become the property of the user of the mattress. Yes.
I hope when they go in, people don't start to quarrel about whose mattress it is and whose mattress. But that wouldn't be between ourselves and NEMO and them. That would be between people themselves. And I hope they don't have that confusion.
I appreciate much, Prime Minister. Continue the good work.
God bless.
Thank you very much, Carl. We have another call on the line. Hello, good morning. You're live at NDC, Iron Soufriere Mornings Edition. Hello,
good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good. I want to ask the Prime Minister a question.
Yes, my brother.
Oh, I want to ask you what about the Soufriere now, so the problem of the Soufriere and the flood. Okay, we have up in Rab. What about the construction people? We can't get sand and stone and everything hold up now.
Well, you have sand,
Nothing doing.
There's sand being sold down at they have it down at Lowman's. We have to be careful. We have to be careful with the bay sand.
Because right now, I live in the orange zone up here.
Yeah, but
Right now, everything hold up, all the construction work hold up.
yeah, but you
Nothing
can
doing now.
get sand down at you can get sand. You can buy sand down at Camden Park.
But most of the time, maybe sometimes it's people who struggling. Sometimes they just walk it.
Yeah, but the point is this. The point is that, brethren, is this. One of the problems you have to face. You see what is happening to the beaches? When you take away all the sand, it's coming in and encroaching on the land.
Okay.
And climate change is a real problem in an island.
So they stop mining. They stop mining sand up in Rabuka.
No, they're still mining. They're still mining in Rabuka, the Rabuka material. They're still mining that.
Okay.
All right. But of course, the problem of the operations, given the
Right. Humbug now.
Yeah. All right.
Very terrible because no walking going across.
Yeah.
All right,
But there would be a lot of work for cleaning up and all the rest of it.
Well, I usually work construction work.
Yeah,
so
I know.
In case I get a chance anyway. So.
Yeah. All right. But you should contact. They will have other work doing. There's some construction going on, but I know it has slowed down. This is what happens with these activities.
Yeah.
But if you check Bragsa is going to be engaged in a lot of work which will involve construction.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
I live in Saboto area.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right, brethren.
Okay.
Sorry, other calls?
We'll take this call.
Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to Ayangla Soufriere.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to you, PM. Good morning.
Good morning.
The host. Yes, I'm calling from Central Leeward.
Yes.
I was listening to you yesterday. You were talking about some of these springs, the natural springs.
Yes.
You want to put. I have raised that point to some of the workers at CWSA before. There is a natural spring in Pierre, huge, Barely.
Yes.
That's where the first secondary school used to be, up in that area.
Yes.
And every time we have a disaster, people normally come from all different areas like Battle and Glass and so on. But they have to travel up in the mountain to get to that spring.
Yes.
So I would like if they could hype it, like bring it down lower in the area. Because it used to be lower down in the area before, but I'm not sure what happened.
Well, is all those things and the cost of all those things and which point they carry them to that CWSA will have to analyze. And that is what I was indicating to God Saunders, and I'm glad you called about that one, and I'm sure they're listening.
And there's one in 3 acres
yes.
as well. But the one in Pierre Hughes is much difficult to reach.
Yes.
Because the one at 3 acres, I think the road is in proper condition going up there.
The one high up is a good spring?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
No matter the disaster, that is always one.
All right, love. All right.
And I think it's coming from the earth. Even not sure how hot the temperature is, that water is always cool.
Yes.
But most of the guys going to the mountains, they just catch water from there to give to the cattle and so on.
Yeah.
You know, it's through running through a big pipe already from the CWSC.
Yeah.
So all we need there is just some connection.
Extension down.
Yes, down in the area.
There's one in Mount William where also I used to take my cattle as a boy.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful. I used to go and the cattle them drinking lower, and I will put a couple bottles, and then you go up back because you roast breadfruit and roast coconut. The coconut is the meat, and the breadfruit and drink the spring water.
Yes.
When we're there mountain.
Yes, and before we had pipe-borne water to homes.
Yeah.
I used to go there with my mother. She
Yes.
take us there to wash and
Yes.
bathe and so on.
Yes, there are
So-
several of them across the country. There's one up in Soufriere,
Yes.
one up in Diamond, different places.
But the road to it, especially
Yeah.
when it's wet, is
Yes,
very
yes.
slippery and so on.
And these are things which CWSA will have to look at the costs and
Yes,
so on and so forth.
yes. And every time we have a disaster, it's like a lifesaver.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, but the road to it is a problem.
Yes,
So
all right
like
then.
it come down lower in the area.
I'm great.
That's in Pierre huge.
Yes, I'm grateful.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Pierre. Yes. And keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Continue to bless you.
I want to remind everybody to test for the COVID and to take the vaccine. I went on that in detail yesterday. I'm just repeating that this morning. Please. I repeat, between September and now I have taken 16 tests. Nothing wrong with me as a consequence of taking the test. And I have done all of them negative, thank God. And I've taken the vaccine and I'm here. Nothing wrong with me either. Any other question?
So far,
That's it. Well, I want to thank everybody for who calling in, and I want to thank Michelle. I want to thank Roderick Stewart. I really regret that I had to take time to deal with this unreasonable blasting of NEMO and the relevant authorities in relation to these to this matter about the mattresses. And I want to tell the volunteers and the people who work in, don't bother the naysayers. Just do what you're doing. You're doing God's work. You're doing God's work. You're helping. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Prime Minister, for being in the program once again this morning. I'm Soufriere, morning's edition, Prime Minister Dr.The. Early on the program, Seismologist Roderick Stewart. Want to thank listeners, callers, persons who send their comments and the questions. Thanks for listening. Join us tomorrow morning for another program.